principle of mentalism. All is mind. The universe is mental. What we're talking about here is the universe is actually a thinking entity. And it has the capability of making things happen. As we know, everything is here. It has an energetic pattern to it that's intellectual. It has enough intellectual connections that it's actually conscious. So the universe itself is conscious. And this is proven to be when you look at a zoomed out image of the structures that create the universe, which are all the galaxies and how they're connected and linked. And then take an image of an MRI of a human brain. What do you see? They're identical. Human brain and the universe, the same. Why? Because the universe is consciousness. As above, so below. And what we're talking about here is the fact that you have to understand you literally create your own reality. And that's just not something you hear people saying this all the time. You create, and it's kind of like, you know, oh, people just say it all the time. But when you really dig into this and understand what it's talking about, Thoth talked about this thousands and thousands of years ago. This has been taught for eons in mission schools. The fact that you have the capability of understanding this and creating your reality tunnel. See, collectively, we all participate in creating reality, collectively. But individually, we have our own reality tunnel that we have the capability of working in, manipulating, and even bending, as Thoth talks about in the Hermetic Tablets. And this entire universe was thought into existence through this energy source, this main consciousness collective that exists. And you have the same capabilities. Because the universe can do it, that means you can do it. Because why? Because the universe is inside of you. No matter, when you look into the human body and go down, even down to the atom level, you're going to discover that it resembles the universe in every single way. One cell in your body is its own universe. One cell, just one cell. One cell in your body can do everything the universe can do, and vice versa. And now you have a collection of what? Trillions of cells in your body, literally. So you have universe, you have a multiverse flowing through your veins, through your body. And all the information that was used to create everything you see is flowing and coursing through your veins. And when you understand that, the second thing you have to understand is that your brain operates on a specific frequency, just like the universe operates on a specific frequency. So what happens is the universe, it only communicates good with high frequency communication. When you go to a low frequency communication, it falls on deaf ears. So one of the most important things to want to understand, and Thoth talks about this in the Hermetic Tablets, and I cover this in my book, is the fact that to get your reality tunnel to go in the direction that you're looking to make it go, you must operate at a very high frequency. And people say, well, what is it? How do I get to a high frequency? Well, think about this. If you're looking at the news, CNN, NBC, Fox, whatever, and they're showing, you know, a lot of just death, destruction, murder, and you know, all this other, the poly tricks and stuff that come on 24/7. And it's got you in this fear mode. We're going to war again, and my son's going to probably get taken to war, and all this stuff. Now, your mind is in a fright and flight mode, and now your frequency has dropped. So fear is a low frequency. And this has been proven in the laboratory. This is even like some kind of esoteric message. This is like real peer-reviewed science. When you're in a position of fear, anxiety, distraught, you're worried, you're angry, all those frequencies are lower frequencies where they've actually seen a cosine wave that they can measure, this frequency wave, touching less parts of your DNA as it flows through you and out of you into your torus energy field. When you're at a high frequency, you're thinking forgiveness, love, unconditional love. You're thinking happiness. You're thinking about powerful things happening to you in your life. You're thinking about great accomplishments. You're thinking about health, good health. All these types of thought patterns, those types of thought patterns bring on a higher frequency where the cosine wave is actually shorter, which means it touches more of your DNA on its way out to your torus energy field. And this torus energy field, you're projecting this at all times, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, as long as your avatar body's alive. But the information starts up here, and then it's transmitted into the field, okay? So when you're thinking from a position of power, unconditional love, happiness, that's when you're at a high frequency. So to get to a high frequency, start loving people, start forgiving people, start blessing people. Yeah, you can bless people. You don't have to rely on another entity or another deity that you can't even see or talk to bless anybody. You can bless people. The power is already in you to do that. You can be thankful for people. You can be thankful for what you have. All those are high frequency thoughts. And when you do that, now you're at a high resonating frequency. And when you do that, now you're able to do things like create your own reality zone. And I give people examples all the time. If I'm going somewhere that I know it's usually like a busy spot, like a busy mall, or I'm running late to a place like a movie theater or an appointment, I visualize the place that I'm going to before I get there. And I actually visualize parking spots being available, because one of the biggest problems is parking. I visualize those parking spots. And I visualize 2 or 3 parking spots being open at some point that I can pull into and park within a timely manner. And then I not only envision it, then I command it, and then I say it. These parking spots will be available to me when I arrive at my destination. When I get to my destination, what happens? Parking spots. If you don't believe this, try it yourself. Don't laugh at it, and when you do it, you gotta really truly believe it. This is just a very simple, small exercise that you can do. Elevators. If you're in a busy place and you need to get on the elevator a lot, you can mentally call elevators before you arrive at the elevator. These are small things that you can do when you're practicing your mentalism and how to literally utilize the mind to impact the world around you. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's that you have to be on the right frequency with the universe. And what happens is your brain has billions of magnetite crystals inside of it. These magnetite crystals literally have the capability of syncing with what I call the Christ consciousness, or the elite consciousness that exists. And that consciousness will then sync with the universal consciousness. It's like a quantum entanglement. So first you synchronize with the first crystal, which is what they call the Christ consciousness. And then the Christ consciousness is already entangled with the universal consciousness. And now what happens is it creates this well, this gravity well that bends and warps around your mind that allows what you want and need to fall toward you instead of away from you. And this is what happens. See, in a low frequency mindset, the warp field is bent away and things are falling away from you. You're getting into more and more situations that you can't handle. In a situation where you're in quantum entanglement with the universal consciousness, now the warp field is around you this way and things are falling in toward you. Things you want, things you need, people you need to meet, windows and doors that need to open for you to accomplish your goals and so forth. That's a lot of the mentalism that's talked about in the book. The brain, let me just check for the time here. Okay, we're doing good. Let's take a look at the brain here and the neocortex. Now, you didn't think that the Matrix movie was calling him Neo for no reason, did you? They're calling him Neo because he is literally, they're referencing a part of the human brain. And the neocortex, Latin for new bark or new rind, is also called the neophallium, which means new mantle. It's the part of the brain in mammals, and it's actually the outer layer of the cerebral hemispheres, made up of 6 layers labeled 1 through 6, 6 being the most innermost and number 1 being the outermost. The neocortex is part of the cerebral cortex, along with the archaeocortex and paleocortex, which are cortical parts of the limbic system. In humans, it is involved in higher functions such as sensory perception, generation of motor commands, spatial reasoning, conscious thought, and language. And you thought it was just a name. No, it's a lot more than that. The human brain is a very powerful, powerful receiving device. It receives consciousness, it receives information and analyzes it and breaks it down on a consistent basis. And there's a famous experiment as well, another experiment that happened where they took people into a laboratory, and this happened by accident. They were trying to find out in the human brain how it would respond to images of love and happiness, or images of hate and destruction and evil. And so they put this special cap on the participant's head, which had these electrodes that would read the brain waves, looked on a computer to see, okay, if we show this person a picture of the bed of roses, how does the brain respond electronically? We show them a picture of a person, that just got killed. How does the brain respond electronically? If we saw them a picture of a person that, that, for example, one of them was actually a person getting murdered, how does the brain respond electronically to that? So these images were spaced out about 10 seconds apart because they wanted to get time for the feedback from the brain to the computer. This was done about 15 years ago now. So computers weren't as great as we have them now. Probably right now would have been a lot quicker. What happened? Okay. So these people are they don't know each other in individual rooms, dark rooms, cap on, looking at a screen. Picture shows up, bed of flowers, transmits to the computer. They see what the readout is for that. Next picture shows up, person getting murdered. They see what that image is, transmits to a computer. After a bit of time, they start to realize something really weird started happening. The human brain, without the person even knowing what the next image was, because the images, remember, were 10 seconds apart, it would start reading out to the computer what the next image was going to be, whether it's going to be horror or it was going to be serene. It knew up to 7 seconds in advance what the next picture was going to be. We're not living in real time, guys. We're living in a delayed system. Evidence of this, the fact that there's a delay in between the time that it takes a photon to bounce off of. Right now, you're looking at a computer screen or a cell phone, whatever you're looking at to watch this presentation. It takes a bit of time for a photon to bounce off the screen that you're looking at to watch me and watch this presentation, hit your eye, go back into the brain and be deciphered so that you can tell what it is. So even you looking at me in this presentation right now is happening in the past. Every single moment is a fleeting moment. You're not looking at me in real time. You're seeing what I did probably a plonk unit ago, okay, or plonk lengths ago. So this is how it works. So this is amazing stuff that the human brain is receiving information from an outside source. It happened already before the person in real time, what we consider to be real time, was actually past time, so it happened. This is how powerful the brain is. Your brain is receiving consciousness. It doesn't create it. This is an important thing to know. I really do believe that we're living in a fractal holographic universe. I talk about this a lot. Some of you have seen my talks about it. And it doesn't mean that we're not real. It means that we're living. It means that the method used to create our reality has to do with fractal technology that's created by an outside source. So yes, according to the ancient books, the Bibles, the Quran, the tablets, the Sumerian tablets, the Mahabharata, any ancient text you go into, any ancient civilization that has a verbal history handed down, they all will tell you the same thing. No matter where you go on this planet, we're living inside of a creation. That is true. What's never really fully explained until more recently, a way where we can understand it, is how this creation was made. I don't believe that it was from a person in the sky with a magic wand. I really believe now, after doing a lot of research and digging and understanding a lot of this esoteric information and reading the Emerald Tablets and seeing what Thoth is talking about, we're living in a fractal holographic universe. Now, the fractal holographic universe is not something new. This is ancient. However, rediscovered in more modern times by Dr. Benoit Mandelbrot, when he rediscovered this mathematical equation, very short mathematical equation that literally lays out the foundation to build out universes. And evidence of this is there's a video game called No Man's Sky. And in this video game, No Man's Sky, this fractal universe is in there that has 80 billion planets with life forms, unlimited life forms on each planet, on a disk that fits into a console. Why? Because the power of that one simple mathematical equation that puts it in there that allows the next frame of reality to occur as we need it. So like Pope talks about in the Emerald Tablets, like I talk about in my lectures, like quantum physicists and quantum mechanics and experts on quantum theory talk about, when you're not looking at something, it's not there. It turns back into a waveform, an electromagnetic wave. When you're looking at it, when you're observing it consciously, then it collapses back into what we consider to be solid matter. So we're living in a very fluid universe. We're actually in this fluid energy source right now. And consciousness directly affects it. There was a very famous experiment done called the double slit experiment, which I talked about before as well. And it's a tiny little box with 2 slits in it, microscopic slits, and they send little tiny particles through these slits and see what happens to them on the back wall. Well, the particles go through these little tiny slits and they create a pattern on the back wall, and like a digital pattern. But when you look at them, it turns into a wave pattern. Why is that? Because conscious observation basically helps you shape reality. I'm sorry, so initially what they would do is they would look at the pattern going through they didn't look at the pattern, they would just look at what's on the back wall, I'm sorry, and they would actually see an interference pattern. So how can you shoot one particle at a time through slits and get an interference pattern? That means that the objects were not being observed, so they were waves. When we put the looking camera there to see how it was happening, to turn back into particles again. So it sounds a little complex, but very simply, it means that our conscious observation directly affects our reality and creates what we call solid matter, or collapses frequencies into what we consider to be solid matter. When in true reality, nothing here really truly exists at all. Everything here is an illusion. As a matter of fact, I'm not even talking to you guys. I'm talking to myself. And when you're talking to somebody, you're talking to yourself. We're all one collective consciousness out here collecting information and gathering data, transmitting back to one source. We're all part of that same one source. Locality is an illusion. Distance is an illusion. Separation is an illusion. Matter of fact, if I took all 7.5 billion people on Earth right now and took away all the empty space between their atoms, because you know atoms are 99.9% empty space, took all the empty space out of the atoms, I could fit every single human being into a sugar cube on this planet. Every human being can fit into one sugar cube if I took away all the empty space. That's what we are, guys. This is how powerful this information is.